In today's digital world, people can make a claim about being an expert in anything. But I believe there is a significant gap between the people who make a lot of these claims and the people who are actually perceived as legitimate experts. And in this video, I'm going to show you why writing a book is the fastest path to being seen as a credible expert in your industry. You see, I am this person, okay? Every single time I've written a book from 23 to 30, 4 different books, I have been seen as the expert, as an authority in that niche. And it didn't hit me until I had written my first book how true this would be. You see, I was 23 years old and I wrote my first book. It's called Elevate Beyond. And it was a career development book. The irony was that I had less than 1 year of actual career experience and I wrote a book about getting a job. But here's the kicker. As soon as I wrote the book and I became a bestseller in vocational guidance and career development, people started to see me differently. They started to see me as, what does Jake know about the career world that I don't? Shoot, if he wrote a book on it, maybe he knows something different than I know. And this is when I really understood that writing a book is the fastest way to being seen as the expert. And as I was going through this process, as I started getting paid to speak, as my book started being used in college syllabus, I realized that to be seen as an expert doesn't mean you have to be the best expert in the world. It just means you have to have done something worthy of someone else's attention, and you just have to be a step or two ahead of the people you aim to serve. And this was the kicker. I'm not the world's greatest career development expert at 23 years old, but what I was is I knew more than a lot of people about how to do the things that I wrote about in my book. And then once I wrote the book and it became a bestseller, I started to be seen as the expert, which led to my book being in college syllabus, me getting invited to speak, me touring the country as a motivational speaker, and being a thought leader around this particular topic at that time of my life. My name is Jake Kelfer. I'm a 4-time best-selling author who's turned my books into multiple successful businesses in the speaking, coaching, and now book publishing space. My first book is Elevate Beyond. At 23, I became a career expert. At 25, I wrote a book called Elevate Your Network. People started seeing me as the expert in networking and connection. I got invited to China to speak. The Elevated Entrepreneur was my third book. That got me credibility with people in the online space because I had interviewed some of the top people in the industry. Pat Flynn, John Lee Dumas, Lori Harder, and many, many others. And then my book, Big Idea to Bestseller, which is all about how to write, publish, and launch a nonfiction book, that helped me become seen as an expert in the book world. So now I run a company called Big Idea to Bestseller, where we help top-tier entrepreneurs and high-level executives create their own books for both business, growth, and legacy. We've helped hundreds and hundreds of people write, publish, launch, and market nonfiction books so that they can achieve their personal and business-oriented goals. Now, here's the deal, though, in today's society. This is what I'm seeing from my own experience as an entrepreneur who is trying to do everything I can to build something special, sustainable, and to really help a lot of people. Competition continues to get higher and higher and higher as the barrier to entry to the online world is minimal. What we see more and more of now is people are making false promises left and right. These are in the forms of catchy headlines. This is form of the bro marketing, right? This is in the form of people making massive claims, maybe because they saw someone else do it so they want to claim it, or maybe they did it one time and they want to repeat, or it comes from misleading information, right? And don't get me wrong, I'm guilty of this too, and I try to work really hard on being as transparent about this as possible, but people will say, oh, I make $100,000 a month. Well, do you make $100,000 a month, or does your business make $100,000 a month? Other people will say, here's how I make $1 million a month, but they spend $1.5 million in ads, and so they're losing money every month. The marketing and what we're seeing online is people are making bigger and bolder claims to stand out and differentiate themselves, bigger and bolder guarantees, and then they're trying to see, do I have to actually deliver this? Okay? Making promises is really, really easy. Actually delivering upon those promises over and over again is a whole nother story. So the question becomes, how do you stand out? You need something better than being another BS marketer or a catchy tagline. You need something that will show the audience that you are actually an expert, that you are legit. And how do we do that in our society? We write a book. You see, people think that follower count makes you an expert. And don't get me wrong, when we see people with huge follower counts, we're like, oh, they must be doing something right? Because they have a follower count. But are they paid? Are they engaged? Are they the right people? Okay. But people can see through you in every aspect, whether it's your follower count. Does that make you an actual expert? No, it just gets people to look at you a little bit further. But does writing a book make you seen as an expert in your industry? Absolutely. We need a way in today's world to get people to say, yes, I believe that person knows what it is that I'm talking about. And that is why writing a book is the fastest and most consistent way to be seen as an expert in your niche. All right, let's ask this question, right? If you are looking to hire a financial coach, would you want to hire the person who claims they're an expert and posts about it? Or would you want to hire the person who wrote a book on personal finances with personal examples, testimonials, and a clear plan of action items? Of course, you're going to take the person that has written the book. Why? Because you believe that they've done it more. You trust them. They have a plan. You've seen it. And you also know that if you like that person's style, they're the person to work with you. I'll give you an example of this. Ramit, I Will Teach You to Be Rich. He wrote a book. He helped a lot of people. He got a Netflix TV show. He is an expert. When people think of personal finance, they think of his book. Okay? That is a huge advantage. That is a huge advantage to be seen as the expert. So let's talk about why writing a book is actually the fastest path to being seen as an expert. Number one is hard work, okay? Writing a book is incredibly hard work. So if you write a book, people will see that you know what you're talking about. Now, here's the kicker. Even if you don't know what you're talking about, okay? And I don't think you should write a book if you don't know what you're talking about. But the minute you have a book, people believe you to be the expert. Why? Because they see that writing a book is hard work. Otherwise, they would have done it already. So people assume that if you're willing to put in that work to write the book, you must know what you're talking about. When I wrote Elevate Your Network, people started asking me more about networking. But even more than that is people took what I had to say about networking as fact, regardless of whether I was right or wrong. Now, you don't want to be someone who misleads people, and that's not what I'm trying to say. But when you write a book, you immediately become more trusting to someone because they believe that you are more knowledgeable about that particular topic, therefore making you perceived as an expert. Number two, studies show that people want to write a book, but so few actually do. So this helps you being seen as an expert because society sees you as doing something that so many people want to do, but so few actually do. There are studies out there that will say 81+% of people want to write a book. I've polled my audience of entrepreneurs and executives, and I know that number exceeds 80+% every time I do the survey of people who have thought about or want to write a book. Okay? But the thing is, so few people actually end up writing a book, so that those that do are seen as people that have achieved a massive, massive milestone, putting you into the upper echelon of credibility. Next is marketing and book is a time-tested marketing strategy. All the best experts in your niche have books. Lewis Howes, Grant Cardone, John Lee Dumas, Pat Flynn, Gary Vee, Brene Brown, Tony Robbins, Tim Ferriss, Jamie Kern Lima. All right? The one thing that all huge names promote is their book. Think about Alex Hormozi and his book launch, okay? Think about Alex Hormozi and his book launch. He doesn't promote a bunch of other stuff, but when he had his book launch, he made it one of the biggest events in online history, okay? Your book puts you at a new level. Society puts authors on a pedestal. Writing a book is one of those things that you can see people respond to differently than announcing a webinar. If you announce a webinar, people are like, woo, nice. And they'll check it out if they're interested. But if you write a book, you'll have everybody and their mom come out and support you. You'll have people you haven't talked to since high school come out that you didn't even know they still followed you or knew who you were anymore. Writing a book is a higher level of achievement to society, and so you're seen as put on a pedestal. And next is it puts you in a special category that people respect. I have a friend that he used to get introduced as his name followed by his accolades. Once he released his book, it became best-selling author and then his name. When you write a book, it puts you into a special category. Now, why does being seen as the expert matter? Why does being seen as an expert with a book matter? Well, you get to skip the line. If you have a book and you want to start a business, so let's say you have worked 25 years in corporate, you're really, really great at what you've done, and now you want to start a coaching or consulting practice or even a speaking business. Well, if you just start the speaking business and you put your stuff online, people will be like, okay, this is someone making a transition. And you got to build up your credibility. But if you take that 25 years of expertise, which you've spent a lot of time in, you're probably very knowledgeable, you're probably very good at what you do, you've gotten a lot of results, you just haven't gotten results this way, and you write a book on that, you're going to be immediately seen as a incredibly thoughtful and thought leader in regards to that specific industry. Next up is it's easier to pitch yourself when you have a book. When you are looking to book a speaking engagement, okay? Think about if you're inviting someone on your podcast or if you are trying to book, okay? And you're booking someone for a corporate leadership conference with a theme of female empowerment. Are you going to book the person who wrote the book on female empowerment or just the person who posts about it? The person who wrote the book on it, you're going to assume is more credible and you're going to take more of a look. Does that mean you will automatically get the gig because you have a book? Absolutely not. You still have to be legit and go through the proper channels. Does that mean that if you don't have a book, you'll never get those gigs? Absolutely not. But having a book helps you be seen as a leader, which makes it easier to position yourself. Next up is higher rates. When you have a book, you can charge more. The amount of people that I have worked with, once they write their book, the fees that they charge on speaking and coaching, double, triple, quadruple, sometimes even 10x. Why? Just because they have another credibility factor to their name. We had someone who could barely get a couple $1,000s for a speaking gig. He writes a book and he gets $8K for his next speaking gig. This is how being seen as an expert with a book makes sense. Next up is internal confidence. We're so often in our society always focused on what is the financial return on investment. But the truth is that sometimes it's bigger than a book. And so being seen as an expert with a book gives you more internal confidence. When people see you as the answer, when people tell you that you're great, you believe it to be true. And we've all had that one role model who believes in us more than we believe in ourselves. But when you have a book, people start to believe that you have the answers, and that can make you feel really good. And that can sometimes, for a lot of people, be the switch that allows them to start actually going after their greatness. And that is such a powerful, powerful thing. We have a lot of clients who, once they write a book and they're seen as an expert, they actually believe that they're as good as they thought they were. And then now they're willing to actually promote themselves and put them out there, growing their businesses and helping a lot of amazing people. And lastly, when you're seen as an expert, it's easier to sell shit. It's easier to sell to people who think you have the answers to their problems. When somebody reads my book and wants help writing a book, that sell is very easy. When people just hear about me or see me online as this book guy, they don't know who I am. It's much easier when people see you as the expert and see you as the person who can solve their problem. So if you enjoyed this so far, and you believe that you want more credibility or authority in your niche, and you believe that a book can help you get there, then what I encourage you to do is to grab a free copy of my book, Big Idea to Bestseller. It's a step-by-step guide on how to write, publish, and launch a nonfiction book. You can go to bigideatobestseller.com/free-book. Just go ahead, go there. You'll get a free paperback. We'll send it directly to you. Just cover the shipping. And if you know and you're really wanting to strategize and create an entire game plan around your book, you want to identify your idea, you want to create a roadmap to how you're going to achieve your goals, and you want to overcome some of those roadblocks that have stopped you, then book a call on our calendar. You can go to bigideatobestseller.com/call, and you can book a 45-minute call with our team where we'll walk you through all of this amazing things to help your book dream become your reality. That's what I got for you guys today. I'll see you next time.